Taking the first step of something new isn't actually the hardest. It's much harder to follow through. We're just coming into spring now, and I can guarantee that half of that New Year's resolution list just didn't get done, and it's fading away into the background. In this video, we're going to discuss 5 reasons why you struggle to follow through with things, and I'm going to give you some tips at the end on how to actually overcome this. The first thing I wanted to talk about is task devaluation. When we first start something, we're really excited about it, but that excitement starts to fade away pretty quickly. Whether that's learning to code or just something else new, we're really excited at the start and then it starts to fade away as we devalue it. If you put the time in at the start to make sure that this is something that you actually want to do and that's going to massively impact your life, it's actually a meaningful goal, the more time that you can put into that at the start, the less likely you are to encounter this task devaluation. You're going to know why you're doing it, and that's extremely important for follow through. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is psychological resistance, and that's when we create this environment of pressure towards achieving a goal. So let's say you really wanted to get into running and you put this pressure on yourself to run every single day. Sometimes the build-up of anticipation to actually follow through on that skill, on that goal, is going to be too much. It's going to actually reduce your motivation to go for that run because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Sometimes it's easier to focus on the fun and the enjoyment and the benefits of a specific task or a goal rather than being completely goal-driven, because we only have so much motivation and it dwindles throughout the week. Taking a bit of the pressure off by enjoying or finding an aspect of a goal that you enjoy is probably going to lead to more longevity and ultimately follow through. Probably the biggest impact on reduced follow through is goal dilution. And goal dilution is essentially when we have 10 different goals. It's so hard to follow through on every single one, and if they all have equal priority, we're going to end up with way too much going on and not enough energy in the tank to follow through on each of them. You're way more likely to follow through on a couple of options, a couple of goals, than you are on 10. Keeping the number of goals down is going to increase the likelihood of follow through for them. Pretty obvious. Kind of along the same vein as goal dilution is burnout. A lot of us start off extremely motivated when we start a new goal, when we have a new task, when we have a new objective. It's so easy to just go all in. How many people start a New Year's resolution in January and they go to the gym and they do full body workout every single day, they don't take days off, and they just grind themselves into the ground? Number one, you're gonna get sick of that because it hurts to hurt, and you're not gonna stick around because you're not enjoying the act of it. It's objective driven rather than enjoyment driven. And it can eventually lead to burnout. You're using up too much motivation to get going, and eventually that runs out. The more you can take care of yourself and pace yourself on a realistic training plan, the more likely you are to actually stick to that goal. And that goes for learning things as well as physical pursuits. Number 5 is lack of feedback. A lot of times people will start their workout program or their new course without properly managing how they're going to get feedback. With fitness, the easy way is to measure things at the start. Measure your waistline, measure your legs, get your weight, get your body fat percentage if you're using a DEXA scan or something like that. With coding, it's very easy as well. You do it project based. Am I able to do this now? No. Okay, 6 weeks later, am I now able to do it? Yes. I recommend that you use video logs or even keeping a journal for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and just test yourself along the way. Give yourself feedback. So it's a process of learning, involves evaluation of learning. So if I'm learning something new, I'm going to test myself incrementally and see if my program is actually working. The more you can see the progress very clearly in front of you, the more likely you are to just continue with it. A really good one that I like is, it's a technique called don't break the chain. And it's something that I've been using anytime I fall out of the pattern of exercise. And I will take a calendar, put it up on the wall, and every day that I do an exercise, it could be just going for a walk, and I'll put a big X in the day for that calendar. So if I do it, I write the X. And what you notice is, if you are somebody who used Snapchat, you get these streaks, or same with Duolingo. You do not want to break the streak. So you have this chain of momentum that's going to keep you engaged, and it's going to keep you doing the task that you should be doing. It's just a small way that you can compete with yourself and see the feedback. You're thinking, oh, well, I've been doing this for 3 months straight. I'm not going to stop now. And that's a technique that I found really, really useful, combined with videos to give yourself feedback on the progress that you're making. It's really important to prevent burnout and to maintain a realistic level of motivation. On the topic of motivation, I highly stress the idea of intrinsic motivation. Now, what is that? We have extrinsic motivation, which is I want to make more money, I want to look better, I want to be earning more. Whatever your goal is, it's extrinsic. It's something that you want to attain or take. Intrinsic motivation is when you focus on the internal environment. Things like, how does it make me feel? So an example that I'm using is exercise. So while I'm exercising, I feel good. My extrinsic motivation might be, I want to be fit. I want to have big biceps, okay? If you want to have big biceps, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to wake up and start doing exercise. But what will wake you up and do exercise is, I always feel great and refreshed after going for a run or after doing a workout. I feel better. And focusing on that feeling, that internal environment, or that sense of peace that you get from exercise, or whatever it is, the relief that you get after you've learned something, or the satisfaction when you finish a maths question, whatever that is, that's an intrinsic motivator. And I believe strongly that focusing on that, on the day-to-day feeling of pursuing your goal or achieving it, is way stronger long-term. It's gonna keep you turning up. For me, for example, I've been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I am getting gradually better at it, but it's still awful, getting crushed every single day. But I feel myself learning. I enjoy the act of it. I enjoy how focused my mind is during the activity. And there's loads of other internal benefits that keep me going back. It's created almost an addiction to the sport. And I think anybody out there that does a sport that involves skill acquisition probably feels something similar. So finding an internal motivation for whatever that skill is, try to focus internally rather than externally. Because a lot of times the external goals are far away. The internal goals happen day to day. We spoke already about making sure that you have some kind of feedback, and it's important to celebrate some of that feedback. When you see that you're making progress, do take the time to congratulate yourself. Don't over-congratulate yourself, oh, aren't I great, I achieved so much. But rather than looking at the gap between where you are and where you want to be, instead think, okay, well, I learned HTML, or I learned CSS, or I'm now able to make this web page, or I now know how to create a funnel, or whatever it is, that skill that you want to learn. If you're tracking it, celebrate those little milestones. It's like a checkpoint in a video game. When you get to a certain checkpoint, you're never going to go back again, and you can kind of celebrate there. You're not all the way there, you haven't finished the mission, but you can rest at ease knowing that you're kind of halfway there and that you're hitting these little goalposts along the way. And that's something that I try to encourage, is just give yourself a little congratulations. And whatever that is, it doesn't have to be going out and having a party, but just allow yourself to be happy with some of the goals that you've achieved. And that can feel really hard, especially when you're just starting out and you're halfway to nothing. But it is something that I highly recommend, because it's going to keep you going. It's like, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm going to pat myself on the back, okay? And then the last point that I wanted to make is just about self-care. And it's something that we often forget about because we're so busy with all the things that we're trying to achieve, and we want to make more money, you want to buy a house, you want to travel, you want to see the world, you want to buy this technology, you want to buy that car. Whatever it is, whatever your goals are, we can be so focused on just achieving them all the time that we forget that we are people, okay? We are designed to walk around in nature all day, socialize, and eat things, okay? So don't worry about pursuing goals all day, every day. Take the time to just relax, renew, have a read of a book, stop scrolling Instagram for the whole day, get off of YouTube, ironically. That, you know, you're here right now, finish this video and then take a break, do some stretching, go for a walk, have a coffee, interact with people. If we're too goal driven all the time, that's what leads to burnout, that's what leads to fatigue, that's what leads to you forgetting why you started things in the first place. So give yourself the time to renew, relax, do a bit of meditation. But the meditation, again, I feel like people are treating meditation as this goal that you have to achieve at the end of the day. You're like, oh, I need to meditate for 10 minutes because I'm a really productive person. That's another goal. That's another thing that you're trying to achieve. Just sit in a chair and relax. Okay, everything doesn't have to be a checklist item. And relaxing, renewal, and self-care just involves forgiving yourself and allow yourself to be lazy for a little while, or allow yourself to do whatever you want for a little while. If you are pursuing other goals, it's absolutely fine. Just take a time to relax. And on that note, I hope you do get the opportunity to relax after this video, or hopefully even you find some of my videos relaxing in and of themselves. So thank you for watching and subscribe for more. That's all right.